Are you? Is that a nightmare that am I having a nightmare right now?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Waking nightmare.
Who knows?
Maybe.
So today, so my son Elliot has a lot of trouble pooping in the potty. Okay.
Yes.
So, or he just like doesn't want to. I mean, he just like doesn't want to do it.
Not
He's
to do
getting
it.
better. But so his reward for pooping in the potty is he gets to pick a lollipop out. And they're all like the whole bag with all the different flavors. They're not Dum-Dums. They're like off-brand Dum-Dums.
Right.
Off-brand Dum-Dums?
Yeah, they're like off-brand Dum-Dums.
don't-
Dum-Dums are off-brand.
Right.
Are they?
I think
They're like,
But people give them out on Halloween and stuff,
they
right?
do, but what's the brand?
I don't
What's
know.
it called?
brand.
It's but the point is they're all those ones with the different flavors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And today he told me he wanted the muffin flavor.
Muffin.
And I was like, I don't know if that exists. And then I was like, well, why don't you look in the bag and pick out what you want? And he like pulled out this brown one, and he's like, muffin coffee. And I was like, what? And I looked at it, and it's root beer. So it's like a root beer mug with the bubbles. So it looks like a fucking muffin. And to him, anything with a handle is coffee. So he's like, muffin coffee.
That
Oh
is
my goodness,
fucking
that is adorable.
I know, right?
That is fucking the best. Oh
So,
my god.
muffin coffee.
Oh my god. Root beer is now muffin coffee from
Exactly.
now on.
I like that name change. I approve. Definitely.
I want to know
Bribery. That's
I
how
will-
we do things at my house. Bribery.
I will check back with you about the brand of those lollipops.
I don't know. It's something we got on
They're called
Amazon.
like Bum Bums or something.
Bum Bums. Ew.
That's not appealing.
No,
No.
I'm just thinking Dum Dums, like
Dum
Gum
Dums. So it's like faux. So it's like faux-fums. Faux
Fum
Dum
fum.
Dums. Faux-fums.
Like, does it have arsenic in it?
Fee-fi
Makes you
fo-fum.
wonder.
Oh God, I hope not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
God,
sorry.
I hope
I'm
not.
sorry.
No,
No, it's
No,
okay. No,
they
it's
don't.
fine.
They
I'm
don't.
fine with
They
it.
don't.
I'm fine with that joke. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
But you're not.
Oh my god, we just made two terrible jokes about Dum Dums.
Bums and arsenic.
Bums and
We've
arsenic.
checked all the boxes. Welcome to the Georgia Made podcast.
Welcome.
Hello.
I'm one of your hosts, Nicole,
I'm your other host, Sarah.
and we have a special guest today.
Special
I'm
guest.
Patrick Morgan.
Welcome back, Patrick
Talked
Morgan.
over your introduction. Your name is what?
Patrick Morgan.
Okay, cool.
Welcome, Patrick. Welcome back to the
Patrick
podcast.
is one of our besties.
We
I'm
love
so glad to
Patrick.
be back.
This is like the all Patrick episode because we're going to be interviewing you about your film, The Duchess of Grant Park.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm
Ask
excited.
away.
Ooh,
I'm excited for both of y'all because we're all doing it together.
I know.
doing it.
I am so excited
Patrick
about this.
is the producer and star. Nicole is the
at acting and
no.
editing.
What is the name of your character? I forget the
Oh,
name of
Lisa.
your character. Lisa.
Yeah.
And the editor.
That's
and
right.
The super woman.
Am I? I don't
You
know.
are-
I'm not.
so
no,
here's
you're
the
the
thing.
You're the one who's like putting this whole shebang together.
Right, but half of this wouldn't be coming together if you're like, oh no, I could totally do that. Like I can do this. And
No,
it's like you are literally putting on a cape and you're like, cool, I'm just gonna save the day and like prevent me from having a further panic attack. So
No.
yeah.
I'm just chipping in. I like this project. It's really special, and I'm chipping in. I'm chipping in. There's a lot of people chipping in
There are a lot of
to
people
make this happen,
and I'm so
just-
incredibly grateful.
I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Yep.
So more on that in a moment.
Okay. Is this a word from our
Had a
sponsor?
couple. Well, no, I wanted to talk about a couple of things before we get into the meat of this episode sandwich.
Okay. I love a sandwich.
God, I love sandwich too. I don't eat meat anymore though. Still vegan, in case anybody's
vegan.
wondering.
They make good vegetarian sandwiches.
They do. It's true. I just ordered like $100 worth of like vegan cheese from this like online grocery.
Wait, I feel like you brought vegan cheese one time
I
and I
did.
feel like it was delicious.
Yes, and this is different vegan cheese. I'm trying some different stuff.
much-
It's vegan brie.
How much can $100 buy you?
Imagine not that much.
And vegan
I got
cheese.
cream cheese. I got sour cream. I got a couple wheels of cheese. I also added in a few other things like some mushroom jerky because I love jerky.
Okay, two things I learned. There's mushroom jerky and that also you love jerky.
I love jerky.
Okay.
In fact, when I was vegetarian before, like in my 20s, the one thing that I could not resist was jerky. It's actually my favorite set snack.
It is because it's like
Interesting.
chewy. It's like chewy meat. It's like gummy meat.
Exactly.
Like
It's gummy meat.
Gummy meat. Yeah.
And it's like when you eat it, immediately you have more energy. Sarah
You
does
do.
not like that.
That was
I
a
don't
that was a
jerky.
face of just like no.
Jerky is like chewy salt.
Yes.
It's like salt you
I
chew
love
on.
salt.
That's why it's so good.
You know, frankly, I could just eat salt. Probably.
I could too. In fact, a lot of food I just view as salt delivery vehicles.
It's true. It's so true.
Bacon, major
Very
salt delivery vehicle, and also very jerky-esque.
We
So
always end up talking about food.
Can
on
we
this
not? Because
No,
I'm actually
actually,
really hungry
I
right now.
I feel like Patrick just blends right in with
Yes.
our obsessive food talk. But what I did want to talk about is that what I wanted to talk about is I wanted to ask everybody, what have you been watching before we get into this interview? What have you been watching? So who wants to go first? Everybody's been watching something.
I'll go first.
Okay, please go.
I've been watching Succession on HBO.
Ooh, how's
because
that?
After Eddie and I finished watching Handmaid's Tale, we're like, we need to find something else that's not as dark and depressing.
What is Succession about?
So they bill it as a comedy drama.
Okay.
And it's about this really rich family in New York who's sort of a blend between 45's family and Rupert Murdoch's family.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, because it's
Oh
this
my God,
big
this sounds so fucking
conglomerate
scandalous.
family. And all of them hate each other.
Yes.
Like,
So it's like fucking Dynasty.
it's like Dynasty, but they all hate each other. And the daughter gives such amazing one-liners because she's the only competent one out of the bunch besides the father.
Wait, is she supposed to be like Ivanka though?
Yes, but better.
Okay. But like if Ivanka wasn't like an evil.
Her name is Shiv, and she owns herself.
Shiv.
Right. So
Wow. Do not fuck with her.
that's her. Her full name is Siobhan, but
Okay. Well,
they call
I
her
get
Shiv.
Okay,
and
well,
that makes sense because she cuts like a knife, and
Nice.
I'm here for it.
You
all
know,
day.
Siobhan is spelled Siobahn.
I do.
So Shiv would have been Siob. Maybe
Oh, I don't know.
They call it. You're right on that spelling.
on the
they
script. In the script, is it just?
It's Shiv though, because I watched the closed captions for a bit, and it's SHIV.
Okay.
Yeah.
So family feuding. Tell us more.
So okay. So the father is just an absolute.
Well, I love that actor. He was on Westworld. He was on Westworld, the father.
Okay.
He played well, I don't want to give too much away. Have you watched Westworld?
Yes, all of it.
Okay. Well, you remember the patriarch of the family that funds the ranch?
Oh my goodness! Yes, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
And he was trapped in that.
Yes. Well, who cares? We've all seen Westworld, right?
Sorry, I should stop spoiling
Okay, so
stuff.
spoilers for Westworld. We do this all the fucking time. If you listen to the show and we bring it up, you know we're about to fucking spoil it. So just like fast forward a little bit if you haven't
Right.
watched. Spoilers for season 2 of Westworld, which came on like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
BT dubs. He played the patriarch of the family. Can't remember his name right now. Delos. It was Delos.
Yes.
And they were funding Westworld. And he wanted to have his consciousness put in a robot when he died because he wanted to live forever. And they couldn't get it right. So Ed Harris kept coming in and talking to him and trying to like see if he was sentient.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the end, he just ended up being trapped in there for eternity.
Yeah.
And I
that
love
was
that
good.
actor. He's
Yeah.
so
good. And he plays this role so well. It is like, so 45 isn't that smart, but I imagine it's what Rupert Murdoch is like behind the scenes before he did pass.
Yeah.
Thank God. That may not be right, but we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his one son, Roman, is a dumbass.
Okay.
But then his other...
He's like the Fredo of the family.
right? But he owns his dumbassery.
Okay.
Like... And then there's Kendall, his other son, who is all like, I want to do well, but also I'm addicted to stuff.
Kieran
And
Culkin.
Kieran Culkin is Roman.
Oh, he's the
love
dumbass.
Kieran
Right, but he plays it so well.
I love
so
that
well.
actor.
He just
Kieran
owns
so
his
much.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kendall does not own his shit, and that is the big
Okay.
problem. Everybody owns their shit except for Kendall.
Okay.
And he's all like, no, I'm going to do good. I'm going to do better, except he just can't.
Okay.
And you want to root for him. And then you're just like, man, you are just such a sad sack of potatoes. No wonder. So let me just back up a little bit and just give you my favorite quote from the show.
Okay, please do.
Kendall was supposed to take over. Like, his dad was supposed to step down. But then his dad's all like, no, you know what? I'm not going to.
Of course.
Long story short, they're all meeting together, the siblings, and Shiv is all like, out of 7 billion people in the world, Dad wanted anyone but you to take over. Like, that's... She cuts
Why
like a
can't
knife.
she be in charge?
I don't want to give away any spoilers, but the episode last night, wink, wink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just started season 2.
How many seasons?
They have 2 seasons out on HBO, and then I think they're just about to release the 3rd season.
So this is like
Wait,
was
I
created
thought they
right
just
when-
released season 2. I must be wrong.
Maybe
about
they
that.
just
Okay,
did.
thought
I
they
don't
did.
know. That could be right.
Well,
So this
HBO
was-
releases them weekly.
They do.
As opposed to Netflix, which releases them all at once.
They're just finishing season 2 then, because
Okay.
I was reading on Vulture so it is season 2.
Sorry, you were about to say something.
So this was basically created and as a reaction to the election of 45 of its 2 almost 3 seasons.
I don't think it was created in reaction.
Maybe the all
Inspired
these
by?
power,
I think inspired
these
by.
power conglomerate families that exist in our
that was because
world.
it does feel like an amalgamation of 45 and Rupert Murdoch's family, because the Roys in that show Succession, they are a media family, and the dad is all like, hey, let's go buy local TV stations, and the sons are like, that's a horrible idea because nobody watches TV anymore, so you're going to kill the company. But yeah,
But we can manipulate people.
right.
Wow. Okay, so that sounds fucking fascinating.
It is.
Adding it to my list.
Yes.
And it's
definitely.
dark comedy. Like,
Okay.
there's no, man, that's funny. That's
You're just like, I'm uncomfortable right now.
right. Like, that's, I feel so bad for you.
Too close. Too soon. Too
Yeah.
close. Too soon.
I don't even know. It's like, it's all them. Like, it's just someone who can't do right. And
Yeah.
if I guess you're rich and whatever, you're like, look at how hilarious that is. But if you're poor like us, then you're like, that's just, that's not funny. That's like kicking someone while they're down.
It's punching down.
Yes.
And you should be punching.
There we go. Except,
But the show is punching up,
there we go. Yes.
which is what
Yes.
makes it work.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
For those of you who listening who are not comedy writers, there's a concept known as punching up and punching down. And the concept in comedy is that you always want to punch up. You want to punch to the people in the upper status and the upper echelon. Because when you punch down, when you punch to people that are at any kind of disadvantage or who are just like, if you're in a privileged position and you're making fun of people that are not in that position, then the comedy becomes mean and it's not funny anyway. So that's what we mean by punching up.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What are y'all watching?
Sarah, first of all, I'm surprised to hear that you're watching this, and I just have to know more.
I've already seen the whole thing.
Fuck. How did I not know?
But I watched the whole thing years ago.
How could we have been friends this long and I didn't know this? Because I had
Why?
tried to watch the show and I was like, I don't think this is for me. So I want to
It's
hear.
not for you. It's not for. It's not for me either. But
But you can't help yourself.
Is it fit for human consumption?
the show is Workaholics.
And I love all those actors.
That's why I watch. 'Cause
Who's
I
in
love
it?
the actors. It has
and I admire what they've done. to get
Anders
this show.
Holm.
So this is not a new show. This is a show that's been canceled, or done.
It died.
It died. It died.
No, it didn't.
R.I.P.
It didn't die. They
ended it.
Ended it
Yeah,
on
okay.
their terms.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I only know. Okay, so Blake something.
We did not write any of this
Anders
down.
Holm and
They don't need our publicity.
and Adam.
Devine?
Adam
Devine.
But in the show, he's Adam something else. But they name the characters after themselves. They base the characters on characters of themselves. It's a lot of dick humor. It's a lot of being insecure
and
about dick
drugs
size
and farts and
it's boy humor. It's not even like male humor. It's
like
boy
bro.
humor.
It's like bro. It's bro humor.
Bro humor.
Okay.
Now I
So
love
what
the
keeps
actors.
you watching it? The actors?
The actors.
Okay.
Yeah. And plus,
and
it's
no
something-
disparaging the show. I just
Yeah.
I tried watching it and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, no, it's
not for me.
It's not for us. I don't know if it's for you, Patrick. I don't think so.
I don't
I don't think so. It is funny in some ways. It's mostly funny in how they act, not
Okay.
the words coming out of their mouths.
Okay.
But just I just like the idea about these guys who like they also like wrote and created the show.
Yeah.
So it's not
Which is rad.
it's not just them as like actors. It's like they like created the shit. And like it is creative, but it is that type of bro kind of.
It seems like an inversion on the workplace comedy, like a subversion, not an inversion.
Yeah,
it
I was
seems like a
about to say.
subversive workplace comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, and there's a whole like running gag where they it's like why don't they get fired, and then each time that they are super close to being fired, they somehow like pull something out of their ass, and like so it is definitely creative and stuff. And there's how this came up was that I was talking about loose butthole versus tight butthole. Have you guys heard that?
Have not, but I'm curious. Well, I've heard it in different contexts.
go
but
on.
So it's a running joke on the show that's like tight butthole is like cool, awesome. Like you
Really?
want to be tight butthole, but
I always thought it would be like
the
tight.
opposite, the
Yeah.
opposite. No, but tight butthole is like that's tight butthole. Like, but like loose butthole is like it's
okay,
like,
yeah, the loose
bad.
butthole's gonna
Yeah.
let out shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you find yourself saying this at work then?
No,
Or that'd be hilarious if you did.
like literally, that's the first time I've used that since I
Like your
have watched
boss
the show.
comes by and is like giving
Tight
you something to
butthole.
do, and you're like, cool, tight butthole. Cool.
I'm gonna start using this at work. I'm gonna tell my coworker Greg, and we're gonna start using this because, I don't know if you remember the 1 minute play that I was in.
Yeah.
I think that Rachel had written, and there's one line in there like, it helps with the algorithm. And I told Greg about that, and to this day I still repeat that at work. So now it's
Yeah.
gonna be tight butthole.
So there's a stand-up special that just came out that Adam Devine did, and he said that there was the first time he got recognized was like he was on the street and this guy was like in a car and he was like and the guy was like hey yo Adam, you got a tight butthole, man.
And then you're like, I'm famous.
No, but it's
it.
not a tight butthole. It's
So he
you,
didn't
it's
even
you
do it-
are tight butthole.
So he didn't
You
even-
got a tight butthole, man. And then
didn't even do it
Adam
right.
responded, I'm being recognized. And was like, oh shit.
That's when you know it's like, this is what I'm famous for. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Cool.
Just roll with it.
I asked for this.
Yeah.
This is what I
And
asked
then he
for.
thought about how that would be perceived by everyone around him. Like someone's telling him he has a tight butthole and he's like, I'm being recognized. Like,
He is
sorry,
the
I think
fiercest
I
on the
just stole
block.
his bit from his...
You know what? He's fine. He's not going to come after us.
Wouldn't it be awesome
You know
if
what?
he knocked
Come
on
for
the
us,
door
Adam.
right now?
Come for us. I dare you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's eye-opening.
Really?
Maybe I'll give it a shot. I did try watching their movie on Netflix. And again, I appreciate what they do. I think it's exciting. It's just like maybe
Actually,
not for
They
me.
have a
But I
movie?
tried watching the movie and
The entire
too many
time
used
I
condom
watched
jokes
the
for me.
show, I was like, oh God, Nicole would hate this. Like literally, like I was thinking that constantly. I was like, whoa, Nicole would hate me for watching this.
no. Chris and I tried to watch their movie on Netflix, which I can't even remember what the name of it now is, but it's like a action movie parody. And we watched it for like legit 10 or 15 minutes. And Chris was like, what else is on? It was like, he's like, we can do better than this.
Someone I know told me that he had watched this, and he said the first 15 minutes were rough, but then after that it got a little bit
it was like
better.
It was like there was a lot of like used condom humor and like it's like look, I like a good sperm joke. I feel like we've talked about this already,
But
like
used condoms
to
are nasty.
To a point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's not for me, and that's fine. And the world is full of people who that enjoy that, and that's fine. I'm not hating on
Some
that.
people
It's just
like the
not for
pickles
me.
cucumbered, as Dave Chappelle says.
The what?
Some people like their pickles cucumbered,
Right.
as Dave
They're
Chappelle says.
pickles cucumbers.
Yep.
I never finished watching his special.
I haven't watched
did.
it
myself,
I
but I
watched
did.
this special.
I
I like to
love-
leave people in the past how I can admire them instead of bringing them in the future where they may flounder.
He's a little he's a great comedian. He's very smart, very talented, but his humor can be a little offensive.
Yeah.
He's not very woke, if you know what I mean.
Well, not the problem, but
He
we
can
changed.
be. Yeah.
And at the time, he was very woke, and I think he is
Yeah.
still very woke. Like I feel like I either heard someone talking about this or reading.
I feel like he's in some ways and then not in other ways.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, sorry, you were gonna you should.
No, they were just
ahead.
saying like the person that he's on stage now is not who he is in real life, because they were saying they live in the town with him and they're like, hey, what's up? And he remembers all these small details, and it's just not the same persona, which makes sense.
Be
Like
the character that he's
entertaining
doing.
and then being you is two totally different people, or it can be.
I mean, Chappelle's show is like a landmark to me of like what I would put in the category of like, I don't want to. I feel like it's hard to call it activist sketch comedy, but in a way, there's something like he had maybe satire is a better, but it's something we had been talking about when we were doing those live sketch shows, where it was like the humor we were making, the fun we were poking was at things that made people uncomfortable, that were trying to break down societal and cultural norms.
Yeah.
And I feel like his sketch show did that, and like no one can deny that. And when I watched, he had 2 specials. We watched one of them, and I remember Chris and I were watching it, and we were like, "Man, there's like some like transphobic jokes in here and stuff." And that was the stuff where I was like, "Wow!" Like, you know, that those were the things that I felt like were maybe not
it was the transphobic jokes that I was like,
Ugh.
And also part of the problem too, and I think Jon Stewart kind of touched on this when he was leaving his show, is like when both Dave Chappelle and Jon Stewart started out, like they were outside of the establishment, and then all of a sudden they become the establishment, and you can't. It's hard
to get back outside.
And so like, I don't know
totally understand that
where that's going, but it's like sometimes I think for some comedy like the kind they were doing, especially Dave Chappelle, you have to be on the outside, because like what you're talking about of like punching up instead of punching down.
Yeah.
And now he's punching down.
And not meaning
not
to,
always,
but
not with
always.
every joke.
not meaning to, but he's gotten so up there where it's just like he's so privileged and so visible that it's hard to not punch down.
That's a good point. And I do think he's a brilliant comedian, and I will always admire him. And Half Baked is a fucking great movie.
I've never seen Half Baked.
I've never seen Half Baked.
Guys, when I was in my 20s smoking weed like every fucking day, every day we watched that movie. Like I had it on DVD. We wore that shit fucking out.
Oh my God.
Every goddamn day I came home from my waitressing job and put on Half Baked and smoked a bowl, and it was like, I love that movie.
We would turn on SpongeBob.
I used to watch
or
Powerpuff
Disney movies.
Powerpuff Girls and Half Baked were my 2 favorite things to watch. But I'm a little old, so.
You're not.
Okay. So anyway, thank you, Sarah, for telling us about Workaholics.
What are you watching?
What do you want? What do you
I'm
watch?
watching a lot of things. I'm watching Glow, but I'm not all the way through it yet, so I don't want to comment on that. But one thing I did want to talk about, and I'm going to put this up on the writers group too when I finish watching it, but what is so I listened to this interview with this filmmaker, and God help me, I didn't write her name down. It's like Naomi something. She made a film called Bite Me, which is a romantic comedy about a vampire, like a real life vampire. Like, you know, that culture of people that they believe they're vampires and they get blood from donors. Anyway, it's a movie about that, and she and her and like her and her group of vampires are trying to create a nonprofit, and they get rejected and they get audited by, so it's like this accountant guy who finds himself in this fish out of water situation where he's around all these vampire people.
And I love it when that's all as an accountant, because that means that they're all stuffy and buttoned up, and then they have to shake their hair loose.
Exactly. And so she made this movie. And when it was time to distribute the movie, they had already made a film and distributed it, and they didn't get any. They basically got no money for this movie that they distribute. They had a distributor, and they made like $5,000. So
I'll take that right now.
Yeah,
right. But they spent like $500,000 or something making the movie.
Okay.
Now here's the amazing thing about this. So the interview is on Indie Film Hustle podcast, which is, I think, a podcast that a lot of indie filmmakers listen to. It was a fairly recent, I don't know the episode number, but it was a recent episode. I believe the title was something like Make Money Distributing Your Own Film. So when it came to Bite Me, they decided to self-distribute. And one of the things they did was do this tour. They rented an RV and they did like a 51 city tour where they took the movie out and they didn't just show the movie. They did a whole experience. They did a vampires ball where they had encouraged people to come in costume and stay for the ball. And their thinking was, we'll sell tickets on the tour. We'll raise visibility for the online sales. They decided to self-distribute on using like iTunes and stuff. And then they also sold merch. So that's like kind of the baseline idea of what's going on. And she talks about it extensively in this interview and like how they did money-wise. The thing I love about it is their transparency with the numbers. Like they spent $500,000 making this movie, right? And they, or was it $1 million? They might have spent $500,000 on the first movie and $1 million on this one. I don't know, but they had investors and shit.
That's crazy.
And they're very transparent about how much money they made on the tour and everything. But not only did she do this interview, but there's a whole YouTube series for free on the web called The Joyful Vampire Tour. And that was the name of the tour. And they took a documentary crew with them. And the documentary crew filmed them throughout this journey. And there's like, I don't know, like 10 or 12 episodes. And I'm only like 2 episodes in. But they're like breaking down like, here's how we wanted to make this. And you kind of go with them on this journey as to like. So it's a really interesting, totally transparent look at self-distribution, which is what a lot of people feel like is the wave of the future for indies because, although it's wonderful that we have access to all this gear and stuff, like
Getting it out there
is hard and getting it seen because like theatrical runs aren't what they used to be monetarily. Going to a festival and getting a big check cut to you from a studio isn't really happening that doesn't really happen anymore. Even when you get distributors, you often don't make the money back that you need to. You never see, like, can you imagine spending $500,000 on a movie and then getting $5,000? How would you, what the fuck?
You feel horrible.
Well, you wouldn't be able to pay your investors back.
I had looked into this actually when I finished writing my first screenplay after college, and I was like, I don't think Tyler Perry had blown up as big as he had yet, but it's the whole
Tyler
idea.
Perry is the shining example of this.
Took a stage show and he just marketed it, did the Chitlin Circle and all that. But I thought about that with my first film of like looking into like theaters like Landmark because they have several locations all
They
throughout.
said they had no problem booking theaters.
Yeah. And
because
so,
those theaters got nothing going on right now.
Yeah.
Except for Marvel movies occasionally.
Yeah. And so like I looked into it and ran some of the costs. I don't have those costs anymore, but it was like, this could be feasible.
Yeah. And the thing about Tyler Perry is he did that stage show and he did that same stage show year after year until that he sold that place out. It took him 6 years to get to the point where he was selling that thing out. And I don't know. I'd love to talk about Tyler Perry on another episode, like a whole episode about Tyler Perry, because I'm really fascinated by his career. He just opened up a whole new studio.
He did.
And it's on the fucking sign. When you're driving on, I don't know, I-20 or whatever highway it is.
Highway 166.
Okay, and there's
Langford Parkway.
Fucking, like you can see, it's right up there with like the exit ramp. So cool.
Dad used to work at Fort McPherson. Like the building he bought, my dad used to work in that building.
Nice.
And was trapped in that building because of 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Not physically trapped, just he couldn't go home for 3 days because they didn't know what the hell was going on.
They didn't have any idea. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, I'm only 2 episodes in, but I think it's really interesting.
The Joyful Vampire Tour?
Right. And then the YouTube channel is called Bite Me.
Bite Me.
Okay. And it's really interesting. The filmmaker is very like charismatic and interesting to watch. And you don't get that information. Like nobody gives you those numbers. And it's something I've been thinking a lot about, like how to self-distribute our work. I think something like that would work very well with the Duchess.
I think so.
Because the Duchess, like you're already kind of, and we haven't talked about we're about to get into this interview with, maybe this is a good segue, but like I feel like the Duchess, you're already kind of making her into this local personality, which I feel like could also translate to an experience that could be toured.
When I started thinking about the end game of all this, and that's one of the reasons I loved the Seed and Spark Creative Sustainability Summit that I went to earlier this year, is she asked us to think about like what's the end game for this or whatever project you're doing, like And so I like the end game for the Duchess of being someone you can take on tour and also spreading this message about mental health
and love.
And also LGBT issues,
Yeah.
especially like if I were to take it on tour or something, like especially in the rest of Georgia. I feel like the rest of Georgia and the rest of the Southeast are so forgotten about when it comes to LGBT issues.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it
That's
could work really
beautiful.
well in that.
Yeah. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, they did not make their money back on the tour because I'll let you guys check it out and see what happens. But again, the budget for the film was like, let's say it was $500,000. It may have been $1 million for that film. The most they could make on the tour was $40,000 if they sold out every screening, which they did not. And so that whole thing was a learning
Plus the tour
experience.
costs
Right.
Hotels and food and
the
traveling.
RV. Well, they actually stayed in the RV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
But anyway, I haven't gotten through it, so I don't know what else they learned, but they also sold merch. So they had merch that they were selling. And last time I heard, they hadn't gotten the numbers back from the online sales yet. But still, she said no matter what, on the tour, I've already seen more money back on this tour than I did when I had a distributor.
Yeah.
So that's a step in the right direction, even if it wasn't like 100% successful, right? It's still like you're still getting more and you're in control of the whole thing.
You're getting more back, and then also your audience building. So let's say you did that. It's like what you said
Then
about
the
Tyler
next
Perry.
time you go out, you get more. Yeah.
So you're just building upon it.
You're just building. You're building the people that are hungry for the products that you're selling. Also, like if and you know, I feel like the key right now in independent film is to make the film for not to make it for so little money that no one gets paid, but to make it for as little money as you can feasibly make. Like, you know, maybe instead of spending $500,000, maybe you make it for $250,000, or maybe you make it for $100,000, or maybe $75,000, or whatever that lower amount is, so that when you're doing the self-distribution, like that number, that gap that you have to make up isn't quite so big.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm fucking talking about because I've never sold a fucking movie, but
that math makes sense. Like that's just basic math.
But one day I hope to.
You're going to.
Hopefully.
And we're all going to take it all our movies on tour and be like,
let's do a whole fucking tour.
Yeah.
Like the amazing fucking Queens tour or some shit like that.
God damn it. Tour. Yes. I can't believe I just said that, but yes. Let's do that tour.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is an excellent segue to talk about the Duchess of Grant Park.
Okay.
So this is, of course, this episode is going to be our second installment. So we've already had you on, even though we're recording these in reverse. So it's a little weird.
It makes sense.
We've already, in theory, we've already had you on to talk about the Emmys.
They were wonderful.
They were great. Yeah. We had a wonderful discussion. It was fabulous.
So many things covered.
But now we're going to I'd like to get deeper into talking about your film, The Duchess of Grant Park. And so let's get to that.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Sarah, feel free to jump in at any time if you want to, but I feel like I'd like to get started just by having you tell us a little bit about your work up to this point as an actor and a writer. Like a little brief, rundown of where you've been before you got to this point where you were making this film.
Well, do we want to start at the beginning where I was born, or do we want to come a little before?
I mean, I've got a cup of golden potion, and I'm ready for whatever you want to tell.
No, we won't go that far back. We'll just I guess this is my 10th year of writing and acting.
That's fucking exciting.
10 years. Wow. Yeah. 10 years ago, I went back to school, usually after taking a long break. And I was like, you know what I want to focus on? I want to focus on film, and I don't know what I'm going to do after that, but I've always wanted to do acting. So we're going to do that.
Nice.
And I studied with Dr. Cheryl D. Huddleston, who taught me about dramatic writing, writing plays and screenplays. And she helped me in editing one of my very first screenplays, which is untitled, but it had a working title of Ava, about a trans woman. That was my very first screenplay.
Wow.
And it was about a trans woman having an affair with a married guy, and she and the wife end up becoming best friends.
I love that.
Oh, that's great.
That sounds wonderful.
I'm still editing, still working on it, still want to do it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be my next project.
I love it.
Awesome.
Then fast forward to 2012, where I met you all at Pinch and Ouch. and we were acting, we were learning Meisner, and it was
We
amazing.
were.
Yes.
And then fast forward to 2016 when y'all formed Critical Crop Top. And that's where I feel like I grew as an actor and a writer. And I say that all the time to everyone because y'all really gave me a chance, and just a chance to grow and a chance for all of us to work on our craft. And yeah, like the sketch shows and the writers' rooms, like that it just helped me practice my craft so much that I feel led up to this point, because it was when you all were going to do micro shorts that
Right?
I brought in the Duchess.
The ill-fated micro shorts.
Right. I don't think ill-fated. Everything happens for a reason.
I agree. I totally agree.
And I remember
we've talked about this.
Yeah. At first, y'all had asked me to do a micro show. I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know. And then I came into the writer's room and we read the Duchess.
Yeah.
And
Which at that time was like more of a 5-page thing.
Right. It was 5-page.
Yeah.
And you were like, let's cut this down even more to make it a micro short. And so we did.
Or it was like 7 and we cut it down to 5. Something like that. Because I know ultimately it was like 5 pages. I feel
yes.
like. Yeah.
Yes.
And that was a struggle.
Because that was as far as anyone could get their scripts down. No one could get there was no fucking no one could get it down smaller than 5 pages.
It was hard.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's hard to tell a story in that short amount.
But at that point, the Duchess, she was just this off the wall character. And I think I was really inspired at the time by Florence Foster Jenkins and Meryl Streep portraying her.
Yes.
And this idea of this over the top character.
Yeah.
Because the Duchess, she was just like, I'm claiming Grant Park as my duchy. And then
That was kind of the joke.
That was a joke.
That was like kind of the subject of the film was this joke about this. It's like ridiculous that
Right.
Yeah.
Grant Park is, and Grant Park, for those of you, I think a lot of our listeners are from Atlanta, but if you're not from Atlanta, Grant Park is a neighborhood in Atlanta.
yes.
Beautiful neighborhood.
It's a beautiful neighborhood, dates back to the 1800s. And then Grant Park inside of the neighborhood is an actual park that was designed by the sons of the architect who designed not Grand Central, but Central Park in New York.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And I feel like there's also some connection to Piedmont Park as well, like a connection with the designers or whatever.
Okay.
But
And we took our photos for our first live sketch show back in 2016 in front of the mural at Grant Park.
yes,
Because it was right down the street from Laura's house.
it sure was.
Yeah.
It's right across from Ormond Grant Park off Ormond Street. But yeah, and now the Duchess is this 17, 18-page behemoth with 4 shooting.
How long it should be.
Probably.
Like that's
Yes.
and that's the serendipity of the micro shorts not working out. And these things happen. Like sometimes you just can't get the money together. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had always felt like kind of bad because I was like, like I really wanted the script to get made. And then you and Brandon were like, we're making this anyway.
Yeah.
And then ended up expanding the story, which I feel like it shouldn't have been the 5-page thing. It always should have been this longer,
So
deeper story.
What was the joke turned into, there's this real woman who has, like, this is not a joke. This is like, she does this to help people. She does this to help herself and her own, well-being.
Yeah.
And it's a really like feel good type film. And like, there are still jokes and stuff, but yeah, I like the way this is.
Yeah.
It's
so
a
much
character
more.
that has more depth. And I think that once Brandon and I talked about expanding it, I really wanted to focus on
Brandon Mitchell, director of the
yes.
Duchess of Grant Park. No, I'm just interjecting that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So to see, I really wanted to find a way to portray trans characters that weren't going back to the old days of like blackface for black people or just making someone cartoonish, but giving someone that has depth and saying this is a real person and their attempts may be misguided, but they're still trying to do good in the world. And there's something else going on behind there that you find out in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
No, I'm not spoiling it.
So we're already kind of dancing around it, but why don't and I have a feeling we'll have already talked about this in the other episode, but for those who might be joining us just for this episode, just give us like maybe a couple of sentences. What is the Duchess of Grant Park about? Because we're kind of dancing around
Okay.
it.
The Duchess of Grant Park is about a woman who claims Grant Park as her duchy, and then the journalist James, who is doing a documentary about her, and is trying to figure out who are you and why have you claimed Grant Park as your duchy?
Right. I love it. So there's this mixture of the like sort of interview footage as he's doing this documentary, but also him like sort of on this quest to like discover more about
Yes.
this amazing, and someone who's almost like one of those local characters in their neighborhood.
Like Baton Bob here in Atlanta, or Blondie here in Atlanta, or I feel like Kat was telling me about these twins in San Francisco. But
Okay.
yeah. And even like Marsha P. Johnson was in New York City before she became infamous.
Sure.
So,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great parallel to this story.
And actually, Brandon wanted to pull in a lot of Lady Chablis energy, and I feel like that fits very well with the Duchess.
Another amazing local Georgia character from Savannah.
And so I loved his idea of finding a way to pay homage to her and like pulling her into that. And
That's beautiful.
And a little story about that. While I was going to school in Athens, I got the opportunity to meet Lady Chablis at...
She's from Savannah or Athens?
She's from she's from Savannah, but she was
like,
at the gay club in Athens at the night that I was very intoxicated. So I don't remember too much of it, but I just remember meeting her.
Aww.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Cool.
Okay. Well, I love that. Tell us. So we've been talking a little bit about Brandon, and I think we've mentioned that Sarah and I. Did we mention your assistant directing? Right? Did we mention that yet?
She didn't.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about who's on your team.
Okay.
Who's on the filmmaking team?
So Brandon Mitchell is directing, and then Sarah Hodges over here. She is our assistant director. I don't know if you mentioned it already, but Nicole. She is playing Lisa in it.
Right, yeah.
And then she is also editor. And then she's also DIT.
Indeed.
So, yeah, she's pulling many, many hats.
Well, I like hats.
She always has too many hats.
I don't feel like it's too many hats because honestly, like, I feel like when you're the person behind the film, like when you're in Patrick's seat, I feel like you're in indie film, you find yourself wearing a lot of hats where you're like marketing the film and encouraging people and getting them on board. So you're like producing and you're getting the team together. And like when shit falls through, you're like, I got to plug this hole with a solution. And like, and you're also acting in it. I hope we mentioned that. I'm sorry if we didn't, but
I'm playing the Duchess.
Patrick is the Duchess of Grant Park.
The Duchess.
And so he's playing this incredibly pivotal in every scene practically in the film. And you're also like doing the marketing and doing the crowdfunding campaign and like
it's a lot of work.
So like you're the one who's wearing a lot of hats. Like literally all I'm doing is walking on set and plugging up some cards into a computer and transferring them to a drive and just and then going on camera and like acty in front of the camera, and that's like not, that's nothing compared to what you're doing to get this film made. Even AD, I mean you're doing way more work than I am, frankly. The AD.
The scheduling that they're doing, both Brandon and Sarah, like I don't envy that at all. Like
scheduling stuff.
I don't envy it. No.
Let me tell you, that is a work of art that Brandon and Sarah put together because this was a tight schedule to put together when you have 8 different actors.
There's lots of actors and then lots of crew people. You're shooting over multiple days on a low budget.
Lots of locations.
And it's hard to find. Yeah, it's just kind of hard to find.
So it was threading a needle, and I really tipped my hat off.
And you're doing some public park shooting, so you got to get permits and you got to get insurance and the whole thing.
So fun story, and I think I already messaged y'all, but our permit got approved.
I heard.
Yay! So it's official. Insurance doesn't come through, but yes, permit came through.
Oh, the insurance will come through. Believe me, they want your money.
I know.
They're not going to hold you up on that one.
I'm ready to give it to them. Here, take my money. So we have Kat Brennan, who worked with you all on The Parts That Stay as our director of photography.
She's amazing.
She is amazing.
Oh my God. Can we just talk about what a magical person she is? And Johnny too. I adore them.
2 unicorns. Like
I was about to say.
Oh.
Unicorns for sure.
Definitely. I love them. So Johnny's on this as well.
As Gaffer.
Yes, as Gaffer.
Yeah. Very important job.
Very, very, very important. We have our friend Sandra Patton, who is our production manager and is an incredibly huge help.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't worked with her on, Sarah and I have not worked with her on a film before, but we've met her before and she's, I'm excited to be working on a project that she's on because I really wanted to get to know her more and respect her work.
I respect her work too, and just the organization, and then just also the other talents that she's bringing to this. And it's been like everyone else and being a tremendous help. We talked to your cousin Sam, who is doing catering.
Yay! Sam, my cousin, who she's an amazing cook.
Yes,
and restaurant in restaurant and event planning and management and stuff. And she did the catering for us on the Parts That Stay as well. And also way back when we did the Mother Load back in
wow.
when was that? 2014?
Yeah.
The Motherload web series, she did catering for that on not all the days because we shot a lot. We shot I don't know, over the course of time, it may have been 6 or 8 days, and she did some of those days because that was spread out over months and months and months.
Yeah.
2014, that was
So long ago. That
She
feels like a
most
lifetime
memorably
ago.
compiled all of the Greek food for the carnival, like the kids' carnival,
Yes.
Oh my
where
goodness.
Andy had to eat all those meatballs and
she
shit.
did that?
Oh my goodness.
And the spanakopita.
Yeah, she
and the-
collected all of the food that we needed for all that. Why do I always write? I feel like I always
So
write
much
stuff
food.
where Andy's eating.
Yes.
It makes
so-
me laugh when he has to eat something.
Yes.
I wrote something anyway. But yeah, so Sam is doing the catering.
Sam's
She's
doing
gonna-
catering.
I just want to take a moment to respect the cookies and brownies that she made on the Parts That Stay.
Oh my goodness.
They were
Back
so
like
good.
a silly sugar.
I know. God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I remember people coming in the morning asking if we had any more of those because they
Oh.
wanted to eat them for breakfast.
Oh my
That's how
goodness.
good they were.
I definitely ate them for
Yes.
breakfast.
Maybe that needs to be what we order for breakfast. And then
And some sugar-free stuff for Sarah.
Yes.
Sam knows. Sam knows. Sam
can
knows
make you some
that
options.
She's good. She's good with that stuff.
And then rounding out the cast, we have myself playing the Duchess. We have John Bertullo as James, our journalist.
I love him. He's
have-
great. Great actor.
Nicole as Lisa. And then we have our friend Laura Myers, who is my friendly neighbor.
Who gets the biggest laughs every time we read through the
Yes.
script.
Yes.
She really nails
She
it.
guns it.
Yeah.
We have Hilary Heath as Beatrice / who turns
Wonderful.
into Countess of Cabbagetown.
Oh my God, she's great.
Jasmine Waters as Roberta,
Amazing.
who does not believe in the Duchess and believes that you cannot do all that.
Oh, amazing.
But
She's
doesn't
amazing.
she become someone?
We
Well,
give her,
let's no spoilers.
Okay,
no
okay,
spoilers.
never
no
mind,
spoilers.
never mind.
we
No
give her
spoilers.
something, but she doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Let's just
Okay,
put it that
okay,
way.
okay.
And then rounding out the cast, we have our incredible friends, Melissa Kunap and Brian Ashton Smith, playing two joggers in the park who direct James in the right direction.
Adore them. Great cast.
Great.
So
cast.
just wonderful people. And one of the best things about getting to work with friends is that you already know that they're talented and amazing. So you don't even have to worry about that part. And really all the stress just comes from pre-production because as I experienced on the Parts That Stay, once you get on set, it just all melts away.
You're just like, it's happening.
It's happening
It's
and you're among
happening.
friends. So it just melts away and you're just like, let's do something amazing.
Yeah, I think that pre-production is. There are a lot of things. Look, I love a spreadsheet. I love a fucking spreadsheet. I love to talk about things that are happening. So I do love that aspect of pre-production. But sometimes pre-production is like, I feel like it's the most painful part because you're just like constantly, and I don't know if this changes when you have enough money to throw money at problems.
I think it gets worse because it's so much money. And then you're just
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Yeah.
And
Am
it's
I
just too
wasting
much
too
on
much
the
money?
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like I feel like you're just putting out fires every day.
you are.
And it's just like, you're like, you're like, I know this is happening. I know we've set a date, but like, it's just like pre-production is this torturous purgatory
Yes.
in
Yeah.
between you and your film.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. And I wish I
Yes.
could look at it more positively,
I
but I
can't.
feel like
No.
that's what it's like. But then when you get on set, you're just like, everybody's there, everybody's doing their jobs. Like it's this magical camp. You're like at camp film and you're making this movie together. And then of course, post-production is like the fucking icing on the cake to me.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
my
Yeah.
favorite. Because you get the show back and you're like, now I'm making the movie. Like I
Right.
put all this in and my reward for all of this is this footage. And
Yeah.
now I get to make the movie. And that's what I get excited
And I
about.
think you and I are leading to the same thing because for me, the fun part is acting in it or actual production. And then I'm assuming what you mean by editing it too is my favorite part is sharing it with everyone.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so like
that's
by
my
editing
Yes.
it, you get to make it into the piece that
Yeah.
people can see and experience and you get to see their reaction to it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, don't look at me, but look at me, but don't look at me.
You know, it's funny. I'm not one of those actors who, like, I know a lot of actors are like, oh, I hate watching myself. And I'm like, why would I have gotten into this if I didn't love looking at myself? Like, I doesn't, even when I'm giving a bad performance, I'm like, look at me. Could this be better? Let's rewind it and watch it again. Like, I am the most I love watching myself more than anyone else, I promise you.
Okay, I like watching myself in the privacy of my I don't like watching myself with other people.
It does.
I
get a little scared in a festival setting or something. Yeah.
But in my recording studio in the back of the shop, like, okay, this sounds bad, but I would turn on my camera and I would just watch myself and I would wink at myself and
I love it.
I am the shit, but in front of other
people,
people,
that's why you're an actor. That's why we're doing
You
this.
guys are attractive. You guys are good.
So are you.
Meh.
So are you, Sarah.
No.
you are.
Fine. I'm
And
okay.
one of these days you're going to believe it. The Duchess says so.
And then a crown appears.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Okay, I definitely want to get to this. So,
Okay.
what made you want to make this film right now?
Wow. Okay. I'm going to preface this
Okay.
with talk that I did with my therapist starting probably in 2016.
Okay.
And I told him then, it's like, there's going to come a point in all this transition process where I'm going to have to choose between like getting on hormones and going to the doctor and all that or making a film because I'm an actor. And that's just the way this is going to go. That was 2016.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of this year, Brandon and I, we were tired of talking about it. We were just like, let's just do this. Like,
Yeah.
And I was itching to make something like
Yeah.
after spending the better part of last year going on 4 auditions for this one role for a trans actress.
Yeah.
And then, or for a trans woman role.
Yeah.
And then not getting it.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it's time to create my own work. Like, it's time to make my own opportunities because I got really depressed about losing out on that part or not getting it. And it's just a way to put the control back in my hands. And also tell my own narrative and tell my own stories and or tell these stories that I think should be told.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so putting the control back in my hands helped me out of that slump. And then also it just started this magical journey of bringing the story to life and checking something off my bucket list of like, I'm going to make a film. Like, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
The funny thing is, like, I almost forget sometimes that this is like kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, like the kind of the first film that you're making.
Yes.
And the reason that I forget that is because I feel like you're such a prolific writer who makes really amazing work. That your work has been produced by others over and over and over again. Because Sarah's first film that she ever directed was a film that you had written called Hi Grandma.
I mentioned that in the promo for
which you
the
can
Duchess.
watch on our Vimeo and YouTube channel right now.
Hi
Grandma.
Right now.
Written by you. And also, of course, all the sketch shows that we've done. Patrick has been in almost every show. Not all of them, but almost all of them.
Because y'all are amazing.
Because
you're
you're amazing.
amazing.
Like, I feel like all we did was set a date and
All we
then
did
make
was like,
people
Patrick,
show up.
come over.
And Patrick wrote all this amazing work. And so it's like sometimes I forget that's what this is like you taking that into your own hands. And that's so beautiful because I've so loved being a part and seeing and like all of the work that you've done up to this point.
Yeah.
So I think this is so exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but Nicole, in my own mind, I've been calling you the doula of this film.
I love it.
Like, I feel like you're helping me coach and like, come on, just breathe, push, breathe. Like,
It is a bit like that when you're making a film. It does
so
feel a
yeah,
bit like that.
she gave me a smudge stick, and then
I did.
It was a bag of tea as well to help calm me down like a month or so ago, and it was like
The lemon balm.
lemon balm.
Which is
yes.
what I drink. I drink it every night for my anxiety.
So that helped so much. Yes, I cleared out some bad spirits and some bad juju.
That's great.
So yeah, but yeah, I don't even know what the question was, but yes.
No, that was great. I think that totally makes that's beautiful. It's beautiful that you're making this film, and I think it's really important that you're making this film. And I have seen the Duchess herself take on this positive role in the community.
Yeah.
Where she's bringing, and you as her are bringing love and acceptance and ease and peace to people in the community.
That's what's been surprisingly
which is
shocking.
So beautiful.
And at a certain point, when Eddie and I were walking through the Summer Shade Festival a couple of weeks ago, I thought, man, okay, so is life imitating art or is art imitating life? Because we were walking through the park, and I was dressed as the Duchess and just talking with people, and it was a really weird experience. And then also at the reading where, I don't know if you remember this, but Jose spoke up about trans role models or something like that. And he had talked to me in private about just like representation being more out there. And I don't, it's humbling. Like that's really the only word that comes to mind, because like if I could do a tiny bit of making a difference, and that's awesome. Like I just want to do good in the world. So
well,
so
you
does
are,
the Duchess.
and I can see it, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I think it's just like, I think we all need that right now. Like the world needs that so much right now.
That was the other thing too, is I can't remember who I mentioned this to, but 2016 was a very depressing year because of the election, and there was a sense of hopelessness. And then the year before that, in 2015, with the Charleston shooting, and then in 2016, not only with the election, but then with the Pulse shooting, it just felt like it was one thing on top of the other, and this huge sense of feeling hopeless. And I felt like 2017 was just like not wallowing in that hopelessness. But then last year was sort of coming out of it, and this year feels like, in my mind, I kind of referenced, I don't know if you ever saw V for Vendetta.
A long time ago.
Long time ago, but at the turn of that movie, like Natalie Portman's character, she's just not afraid anymore. She's tired of living in fear, and that's kind of how I feel at this moment of just like, I'm tired of living in fear, and I want to do good, and kind of that Mr. Rogers quote, like, be the person that runs towards and something, because those are the helpers. So be a helper.
And what I love about the Duchess is that she brings that hope and positivity, but not like, but there's like, it's not empty. Like she has, as a person who's been through things and has pain too, and she's taken that pain and turned it into something that she can bring a light into other people's lives.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think that's great.
I think that's just a message for all of us, is like, we've all been through some horrible things, and I think that you can let it weigh you down, or you can use it somehow and hope that someone else doesn't have to go through that.
Yeah.
So, and I think all of y'all do that too. So,
Oh, well, thanks.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see how. I would like to know, and like, you know, if you've already, I feel like we've said a couple things about this, but I know this film has like inspiration from like other films maybe. So like, I'd love to hear about films that you grew up with, or films in your past that maybe inspired this film, like the look of it, or the topics, or anything.
Okay, this is a fun question.
Okay.
This started back in 2006 with Marie Antoinette.
Ooh.
That is
Which
one of my...
is on IMDb right
for
now.
free.
Right? Yeah.
For free.
Okay,
Go
well, now
watch
I gotta
it.
watch it.
People crap all over Kirsten Dunst, but Kirsten Dunst is amazing, number
I think
one.
she's a fabulous actor.
They crap over that movie, but Sofia Coppola did an amazing job of telling the story of Marie Antoinette, especially in the way that she did, because Marie Antoinette did not have a voice in her time. And
No, she didn't.
And I think the way that she made that movie so lyrically, and just amazing style choices, and bringing in contemporary.
I like the soundtrack.
Yes,
too.
I am still in love with that soundtrack.
I still listen to the soundtrack.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yes. So that movie definitely influenced it. And then there's also a movie with Keira Knightley called The Duchess, about Marie Antoinette's contemporary, Georgina, I think is her name, Cavendish. It was a great something of both Diana Spencer, Princess Diana, and then also Winston Churchill. Those two are also related. Separate cadet branches of the same family. And then Florence Foster Jenkins, and the way that the maker of that movie was able to take this very outlandish character and give her depth. And just the single moment, like there's this nugget of a scene about her talking about what happened in her life.
Yeah.
And that's the only moment where that really breaks through. But then it puts everything else in such beautiful perspective. And you see the influence.
I can see how this influenced the movie.
And you can see also how Florence Foster Jenkins had her own detractor. And if you've never seen the movie, it's about this lady who she wants to sing. And so she gives this concert in Carnegie Hall, but she has a horrible singing voice after going through all these
and Meryl
lessons.
Streep plays her, right?
Right. Plays her in the movie. And so so there's this first scene where this younger wife of someone, hears her Florence Foster Jenkins singing in one scene and laughs so hard she has to crawl out of the theater. And it's just heartbreaking.
Oh, God.
But then...
I feel like I've been there.
But by the end of the movie, this character has made a turn. And that wife, when the other people in the big concert that Florence Foster Jenkins is about to give start laughing, she stands up and she says, you all shut your mouths and you pay this lady respect.
Oof.
Because she made an impact like Florence did with this lady. And so it's just about doing good. And that's what Florence wants to do in the movie as well. And so that movie was a big inspiration, I think, as well. And then going back to Lady Chablis, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yes.
And I think if you do watch the movie, you will hopefully see a bit of that playing out between James and the Duchess in the same way that Lady Chablis and what is his name in real life?
I'm trying to remember who.
John Cusack.
John Cusack, yes.
The way that
I saw this movie in the theater, but it was like I feel like it was in high school, maybe.
Brandon and I had to rewatch it
Okay.
over the holidays just because.
I now feel like I have a huge like list of
I haven't
Duchess
seen
homework.
any of these except for Marie Antoinette.
Marie Antoinette is a good one, and then also, so we ended up talking to our DP, director of photography, Kat Brennan, and she had pulled in.
She's always good with pulling in the movies.
Yeah.
She's pulled in these shorts, and it was these amazing shorts, and I wish I could remember his name, but it's shorts with like Kirsten Dunst and Kate Blanchett and Kate Winslet.
Ooh,
And
wow, what a trifecta.
I don't want to get his name wrong, so I'm not even going to try to, but it's just these really cool shorts. Yeah, I don't even know how to describe them, but it was a certain aesthetic that Kat pulled from them of like playing with silence and voiceovers, and also the mood set by
I'm gonna have to
lighting.
ask Kat what these films are.
I have them on my Vimeo. I just don't have it at the ready right now. But I feel like that, and then also a little bit of Belle with Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Because there are just so few period pieces for Black women, period, and then even less so for Black trans women. So when I saw her in Belle, that was just kind of this wow moment of like, oh my goodness, there's a Black woman in a period piece, and an English period piece at that. And it felt grounded enough to where like her story was very truthful about being the illegitimate daughter of an English nobleman. And he said that he wasn't just going to reject her or leave her, but there was no place for her in English society. And so it was just a really cool story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, damn. I've got
That's
a
a
whole.
lot.
We're gonna need to
I
write
got a
these
homework
down and
list.
Well, yeah.
Well, I can go back and I'll write them down.
Yeah, you
Well.
can.
So I don't know if that answered your
Sarah's
question.
like, I don't listen to this fucking podcast.
I don't like listening to myself.
I just participate in it.
Wow. Okay, that is awesome. All right, so last question, because this is the Georgia Made podcast. By the way, I have been thinking while we sit here that, so not to interrupt this interview, but I'm going to. So we were planning to release this second in this month, but fuck that. I think we should release it first, and I'm just going to release them back to back.
Okay.
So because if we do that, then we'll get this one out right before, we'll get the Emmys right out before the Emmys. Okay. So fuck it.
Okay.
This is going out next week.
Well then.
Because you're doing a crowdfunding campaign right now.
I am.
And anything we can do to get people excited about this crowdfunding campaign is important.
Yes.
And so how could you not, listeners, how can you not listen to this amazing fucking story and not want to go, where can they donate?
They can donate at www.seedandspark.com/fund/Duchess of Grant Park.
And you should.
Yes.
And there's really cool perks. We'll get to this more in the plug section, but I just thought now would be a good time to drop that in there because that is ongoing. That's happening right now.
It is.
My last question before we get to the lightning round is, since this is the Georgia Made podcast, what do you what is your favorite thing about making films in Georgia?
Community. And I've heard this at a lot of other places that in Atlanta with people who have come in from out of town.
Because we've had an influx of people coming from surrounding areas.
We have. And what a lot of people talk about is just this willingness to help. It's like, if I can do this, let me put you in touch with someone who can. And I feel like that's just that Southern hospitality where look, I can't do this, but honey, let me help you.
Yeah.
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And even like about the permit, and I don't know if this is just standard procedure, but the guy called me to tell me like, your permit's been approved. And I started.
They would never do that in LA.
Right. That's how I feel like. There's
Never.
just too many. And
Yeah.
it's just like, I can't believe you're calling me to tell me
Yeah.
that. Now I'm crying on the phone with you. But yes, come on.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It could have been the glass Prosecco I had at 11 in the morning. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But not only that, but I also got this phone call because when I got it that day, I was going to go meet with someone to talk about some pop-up perks. To stay tuned to find out.
Ooh, I'm excited to know more
But
about
in order
that.
to make the presentation really impactful, that was just a day that I was just dressed up as the Duchess. Full on get out, head to toe.
Yes.
So the Duchess makes things happen.
She does. She does.
She has a crown.
She does. Although, in case you did not know this, crowns and tiaras are considered formal wear and only to be worn after 6 p.m.
After
Yes.
6 p.m.
Okay.
So basically,
Unless it's a
your
formal-
entire film is a lie. And I'm just
No. Unless
Okay.
it's a formal event like a wedding or something
Okay.
else during the
Or
day.
like a coronation.
Like a coronation.
Ah.
And so all the scenes are coordinated to where there is you only see the crown a few moments, but otherwise there's hats.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't known about this 6 p.m. rule.
Yep.
That makes sense, I guess.
Because I think 6 p.m. was also the standard, like, call to dinner and everything. So, yeah.
Now I'm just picturing like royalty sitting in their pajamas, but with the crowns on, like watching Netflix.
So that's actually what I do with my crown at home. Like, that crown is for self-care. That's what it started as.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, if you just need to sit in the bathtub with your tiara on, do it.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, it does make you feel, that crown really does make you feel better.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel like anything's possible,
You're
especially.
like, wow, I'm royalty.
I'm the fucking shit. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, please. Give me more cheese.
All right, so let's get to our lightning round.
Okay, I'm nervous.
And I don't remember if we mentioned this, but as our first guest, this is very exciting because it's our first lightning round. So I hope hopefully we'll have more guests on the show in the future and we'll do more lightning rounds. Okay, lightning round. So these are like quick answers.
All right.
Favorite set snack?
Peanuts?
Ooh, that's surprising.
Peanuts.
I don't know.
What about gummy bears?
Okay.
Jelly beans.
So look,
But peanuts is the healthy answer.
so as a recovering jelly bean and gummy bear addict,
Okay.
like those are big triggers for me because once I start, I will not stop.
Okay. So peanuts is like the healthy choice.
Right, because I feel like you can just binge on them. And I mean, yes, there are consequences,
But it's protein.
right. And at a certain point, protein is going to make you sick and you're just going to stop. Now, gummy bears and jelly beans, they will make you sick. Will I stop? No, I will not.
Good point. Good point.
I will eat through the nausea.
All right, next question. Film or digital?
Stop it. Stop it. I love the old school aesthetic of film,
Yeah.
but for ease and everything, digital.
I mean,
And I say that as someone who worked with film in like dark rooms, like for the photography. Like I love film, but digital's so much easier, and I can shoot away as much as I like.
digital has democratized it.
It really has, and it's enabled a lot more stories to come out.
Absolutely. Binge watch or space it out?
Binge watch all day. Like I'm very impatient. I am so impatient.
You're like, I got to watch it all now.
I can't even wait for coffee to cool down because I hate hot coffee. So
I eat snacks while I'm heating up food.
Yes, same here. Same here.
Like if I'm heating up something in the microwave, I can't even wait for it to be done. I got to have a bag of chips while I'm heating up that food.
So glad I'm not the only one. So yeah, binge all day long.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, maybe we've already answered this, or maybe we haven't. Favorite self-care ritual for staying sane during production?
Oh, okay.
Because I think that is critical.
That is very critical. Actually, it's very simple. I unplug with Eddie.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I'll just ask
Stay
him for
grounded with somebody who's not in the biz.
just does not care. It's like, cool. So I did this today. And it's like, that's what I need. I just need to completely disconnect. And it's possible. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. All right, last question.
Oh,
A movie you didn't write but wish you did.
that is very easy. This artist, Tourmaline, has found this trans character from the 1860s, not character, person, Mary Jones, who it's a historical person, and she made a short film about it.
Ooh, do you know the title of this film?
I feel like it may be called Mary Jones, but if you search for Tourmaline on Instagram, that is the artist and scholar who made the film. Also, do you know who's executive producer of it?
Who?
Mr. Keanu Reeves.
What?
Yeah.
It's it's part of the Keanu-sance.
Yes, it is. He was a magical person who came in and decided, let's do this. So yeah, Keanu-sance.
I love it.
It's real. He's magical.
He certainly seems to be.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Patrick.
Thank
Sarah,
you.
do you have anything that we haven't covered that you want to?
No.
I love you.
Patrick, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you
on
for
the
having
show.
me.
It has been a pleasure talking to you about this film. And now would be a good time to reiterate some information about your crowdfunding campaign, because it is ongoing right now. Now that we are releasing this as our first installment of this 2-part episode, this will be going out on Wednesday.
Okay.
This coming Wednesday. So the crowdfunding campaign is in full swing.
In very full swing. We will wrap up our first week on Tuesday. So yes, Wednesday will be the start of the second week. The crowdfunding campaign ends on October 3rd. So you have until then.
Oh, so we've got lots of time.
We've got time, and you should, number one, follow along, because it's an amazing adventure, and we'll be sharing scenes from production because this crowdfunding campaign will be going through that. But not only that, there are some awesome, amazing perks. You can get a shout out on social media, but also you could possibly get a tiara if you play cards right. You can also have tea with the Duchess. You can get a Duchess themed photo shoot. And what else is there? Oh, if you feel so inclined, there is also a knighting ceremony.
Yeah, pretty amazing perks.
So yeah,
not your usual fuzzy T-shirt. These are
pretty awesome.
Real deal.
Oh, a handwritten letter from the Duchess with a wax embossed seal.
Beautiful.
So I just heard back from the embossed people with the wax, and they're like, it's on its way. So you're welcome. Wow. Yeah. But the biggest thing is that for $25, that will ensure that you get a private digital viewing of the film once everything is completed.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Almost like pre-sales.
It is like pre-sales. It's very much pre-sales.
But you're like supporting the film. So you're like helping to produce the film, but you're also
You're going in and getting your ticket and then making
digital.
sure that we get to make this film, because the thing about our crowdfunding campaign is that the money is going towards paying our people who are working behind the scenes to make this thing happen. Our DP, our gaffer, our best boy, our AC, our hair, our wardrobe, because all the costumes and props came out of my pocket. Because it's the Duchess's property, so couldn't let anybody else have it. Yeah. So yeah.
I love it. And where can they donate?
You can donate by going to www.seedandspark.com/fund/Duchess of Grant Park.
And the Duchess is very active on social media.
Very, very, very. And not only that, but, and of course, once we finish with production, but part of our ongoing campaign is the Crown Yourself campaign, where we bring people in and we do a quick little round of tea or coffee or crown a tiara, and also some heftier questions like, what have you been through that has made you stronger? Yeah. And then, who knows, you may get a crown out of it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So where can they follow the Duchess on social media?
You can follow the Duchess on Instagram at Duchess of Grant Park, or on Facebook at Duchess of Grant Park, or Twitter, Park Duchess. Yes, it had to change because there's a limit on Twitter, and it annoyed the fuck out of me.
And also there's like a Grant Duchess or something.
There is. It makes it very confusing. And I had already made Instagram and Facebook, so I could not change by that point because the website is also www.duchessofgrantpark.com.
Which has all kinds of goodies on there.
It does. Videos. You can find out more about the cast. You can do everything on there.
So please follow this film. It's gonna be exciting. There's all constantly this amazing content coming out with Duchess videos and there's lots to keep up with.
Yes.
Throughout the production, and please consider supporting the project. And if you don't have the money to financially donate, consider maybe sharing the campaign with some people you know.
Every like, tweet, follow, share helps our production and also just gets the Duchess out there and amongst her people.
Well, thank you for being on the show, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
Listeners, you can follow us. We're Critical Crop Top at Critical Crop Top on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can follow this podcast, the Georgia Made Podcast, at Georgia Made Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter at Georgia Made Pod. Please rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend that you listen, because it helps other people find us.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're out of tea. We're out of tea and crumpets.
The world is over.